New York City's mayor says authorities have now named Frank James as a suspect in yesterday's subway shooting. Police originally said he was a person of interest. Now he is believed to be the man who shot 10 people yesterday on a crowded train. In all, 23 people were injured in the chaos. And Mola Lenghi brings us more on this suspect and the unexpected issue with the shooter's gun that may have prevented an even bigger tragedy. Mola, good morning.
Good morning, Vlad and Marie. As you mentioned, major development this morning as the 62-year-old Frank James has now been upgraded, so to speak, from a person of interest to now a suspect in their investigation. He is still on the loose, still at large. You've got the FBI, NYPD, U.S. Marshals all on the ground here throughout the city who are continuing to look for him. And as the police said yesterday, he should still be considered armed and dangerous.
At about 8:30 a.m. Tuesday, panicked passengers on a Manhattan-bound train fled for their lives after a gunman set off a smoke bomb, then fired more than 30 rounds into the crowd. In another car, video shows riders trapped in a thick cloud of smoke, waiting for the train to pull into the station.
I get off the train, and the first thing I smell, the smoke that hit me in the face was not normal train smoke. This is like something's burning, it's thick, it's heavy, and people just start running towards me in fear.
Sam Carcamo arrived at the 36th Street station on a different train, saw the commotion, and started filming.
Women are screaming, people are screaming, someone's saying something about guns, people are like covered in blood as they're running towards us.
Passengers were seen dragging each other to safety or performing first aid, while others fled to the street above.
And coming up the stairs, I saw maybe a 16-year-old that was shot in the knee.
It was just a scary moment. Everyone was packed together, and I didn't know what happened until after.
Investigators recovered a tote bag that included a hatchet, 2 gas canisters, and a 9mm handgun that apparently jammed during the attack, along with 3 extended magazines and discharged shell casings. Witnesses described the shooter as a dark-skinned man in an orange worker's vest who put on a gas mask before opening fire.
We are truly fortunate that this was not significantly worse than it is. Some good news is that none of the injuries appear to be life-threatening. We will use every resource we can to bring those to justice who continue to prey on the citizens of New York.
Now, police have announced a $50,000 reward for any information in this shooting. And this morning, as you can see behind me, the subway station here has reopened. We've seen passengers trickling in and out all morning, so certainly a positive sign there. The Transportation Authority, the Transit Authority here in New York, says that authorities have concluded their investigation down in the subway system, so it has reopened and trains are running again in all directions. Vlad and Anne-Marie.
So, Mola, what else do we know now about the man that they are calling a suspect?
Yeah, 62-year-old Frank James. We know that he has connections to Wisconsin, from Wisconsin. He has some connections to Philadelphia, seems to have been living there more recently. No known connections really to New York, aside from some social media postings where he seems to have a low opinion of New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Some rants about the homeless situation down in the subway systems, and some also some more recent online social media postings where he says that he wants to see people die. So some pretty heavy social media postings. But again, at this point, authorities are still trying to gather some information about him and really apprehend him. That would be the fastest way and the best way to learn more, not just about him, but what his motives may have been.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, Mola, as investigators continue their search for the suspect, to see if he had been on their radar before. Oftentimes, it's always troubling when, in the wake of a mass shooting or an attempted mass shooting, you go back and you see the warning signs that existed there that would have been flagged if somebody were actually looking. So that'll be interesting. But he did leave behind some clues for investigators at that subway station. What did they find, Mola?
Yeah, what authorities found down in the subway station, some pretty significant items that were left behind. We're talking about a semi-automatic handgun, a hatchet, gas canisters, fireworks, gun clips, but perhaps the most critical was a U-Haul truck key that was found down in the subway station. That led them to a U-Haul truck that was found nearby later in the afternoon, and that truck, through that truck, they were able to connect that to Frank James, who was at that point yesterday named a person of interest, and again upgraded to a suspect now. So that sort of sequence of events, they were able to land on Frank James this morning.
It is truly remarkable that no one was killed. What do we know about the victims?
Yeah, 29 different injuries from our last check, what we've been told. 29 people were hurt in somehow, some way throughout yesterday. That includes everything from smoke inhalations to gunshot wounds. 10 people were told were shot. Authorities also say shrapnel wounds were among the injuries. 5 people were told were in critical but stable condition. But again, somehow, none of these injuries are expected to be life-threatening injuries, Vlad and Anne-Marie.
All right, Mola, thank you very much, as always, for your reporting, my friend. Thank you. CBS News security and law enforcement analyst James Gagliano is here now with more on this investigation. James, thanks for joining us. So what do you make of the investigation? I am intrigued, and it's one of the things that we did ask the CEO of the MTA. Yes, the cameras weren't working, and I know there's been a lot of focus on that because obviously New Yorkers expect, if you're going to have all these cameras throughout the subway system, you would expect that they should be working. But what are your thoughts on how quickly the police were able to identify a suspect?
Well, first of all, good morning, Vlad and Anne-Marie. It's good to join you. Look, I've been following this case, as we all have, since yesterday morning when it was first reported, just after 8:30 in the morning. I believe the police, law enforcement writ large, the FBI, ATF, and NYPD have done an outstanding job. Now, this case is being worked off of the Joint Terrorism Task Force in New York City, even though officials have strongly urged that this is not a case of terrorism. Look, this is 2022. We expect everything to be like a one-hour TV drama where, you know, a crime happens, the police investigate it, a suspect is arrested, and the trial is wrapped up in the end of that 60 minutes. And it just doesn't always work that way. I think law enforcement has done an excellent job in tracking down Mr. James. They determined last night that he was a person of interest, and that's now been upgraded to suspect. And I think I can go out on a limb here and say, in very short order, maybe 24 to 48 hours, he can run, but he can't hide, and I believe he will be captured.
Just to pivot back to those security cameras, we know that a number of them were not operating in the subway system. That came as a surprise to a lot of us, but I suspect not as a surprise to everyone. We have a CBS News review that shows that there were years of warnings about the vulnerability of security cameras in the New York City subway system. How about you? Were you surprised to hear the news that they weren't working or not?
You know, I wasn't. I think we have a reliance on technology in law enforcement. There's no doubt about it. We've come a long way from, you know, its early underpinnings in the 1600s to where we are now with DNA analysis. And as you pointed out, Anne-Marie, the fact that we expect every crime that's committed in New York City in the 5 boroughs to be captured on a surveillance camera, whether it's a police camera or a private security camera. And it doesn't always work that way. Look, we can argue and say, you know, the MTA has a huge budget. The NYPD has a $6 or $7 billion budget. And why weren't these cameras working? These things happen. They need to be maintained. And I think you guys pointed out at the top of this segment that they are driven by Wi-Fi. So you've got all kinds of considerations. I don't think that's going to be the margin of victory here. Would it be nice to have that? Yes. But there were enough witnesses to this heinous shooting. And there are camera angles outside of the subway station itself. I imagine police and law enforcement are piecing together right now this man's travels. And as I said again a few minutes ago, he will be captured.
You know, that's actually a great point that James just made.
I thought of that.
That, you know, they figured out this U-Haul connection not because of cameras, right? Because of plain old police work collecting evidence at the scene.
You know, James, the other question is, I think a lot of people understand that police officers can't be everywhere at once. But clearly people, as we sort of return to an endemic situation with coronavirus, are using the subway almost at the numbers, or at least getting there to where we were before the pandemic. So how can New Yorkers feel comfortable taking the subway. Statistically speaking, New York City is still one of the safest cities in the world, and it outranks other cities in the United States. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but this is not a dangerous city when you compare us statistically to other cities in this country and around the world. But I wonder, before the pandemic, there were random bag checks, for example. You'd come down and you'd see a group of officers with a little table, and they were just randomly picking people. Doesn't mean that they would catch someone with a weapon, but would that act as a deterrence? And should we bring that back, even though I understand the concerns that people have about heavy-handed tactics sometimes the NYPD uses?
Wow, that's a nuanced question, Vlad.
I know. We're going to try to solve all of New York's problems,
James. I know. I was like, you took your time with that question because you knew how nuanced
There's a lot to unbundle here, James.
The quick answer is you're right, Vlad. It does act as a deterrence. It's not a panacea. It's not going to stop every crime. Look, I always talk about the continuum. You want to live in an open society. You want, civil rights protections, and you want a right to privacy. That's on one end of the continuum. The other is 100% security. I can't give you either. Now, we're trying to find that happy medium where, as you pointed out, we don't want law enforcement acting like the Gestapo. We want to live in a free and open society. But dadgummit, our children have the right to get on the subway in Brooklyn and expect to get to school in one piece. How do we figure this out? The subways are a nightmare. Why is that? There's no single point of entry. And a lot of the stuff that's going on right now is we have this debate in the country about policing. People don't want cops in the subways. I think that's now going to swing back the other way. We've got to find the sweet spot. That's the hard part of this, is finding that meeting in the middle so that we can keep our folks safe and yet live in the free and open society that we expect in America in 2022.
All right. James Gagliano, great talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.